Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Pemko number 420 APKL. This is a automatic door bottom, is what it is. This is an automatic door bottom for a specific purpose. It's really its intention, its application is a hollow metal door where you have an inverted bottom channel. So unless it's a custom door specifically with a flush bottom cap, every hollow metal door that I can think of is going to have an inverted bottom channel, but you'll certainly want to confirm that before you go about planning that this is the proper one. Inverted, you want to stick your hand underneath there and make sure that you've got a cavity there. You should probably also unhang the door and check the dimension of that inverted bottom channel. There are some manufacturers I'm aware of that have a very deep inverted bottom channel, 2-inch or even more, and that's for a specific purpose. This would not be the best option for that unless you were planning on modifying that channel to bring the dimension down. We'll go over the dimensions in a moment. You'll want to simply make sure that this is going to be dimensionally compatible with what you're starting with. So it's intended for that specific purpose. You really wouldn't use this in any other application because there are other automatic door bottoms that would be suitable. You wouldn't mount this flush to the bottom of a door. You wouldn't use it anywhere else except in an inverted bottom channel of a steel door. Okay, so what is an automatic door bottom? It's exactly what the name implies. It automatically seals the bottom of the door when the door is closed. It's quite simple, and that's all it is. I feel that automatic door bottoms are incredibly elegant solutions to sealing the bottom of the door as a primary means to do so. They can be concealed, like this one is. You would never really see the hardware, and they're incredibly effective and long-lasting. This model specifically, okay, is available only in this mill finish, and that's the A part of the part number. So 420 represents this general type, the profile, etc. The A means mill aluminum, and that's the only finish it's available in because this is concealed. You never see it. The PKL is a reference to this Pemko, what they call Pemko Prene, and it is a specific Pemko silicone type material. A very effective seal. 2 rows of this insert here, okay, to seal the bottom of the door. This is fire rated and can be used in fire rated doors, specifically hollow metal fire rated doors. Smoke seal and air seal rated. So they're going to be effective for controlling the transmission of smoke and for air infiltration. And if your door is smoke rated, this would be compliant with the requirement of that labeling on the door assembly. So this item specifically, you'll note you've got this end here. Take note of that bolt, or what will be called the plunger. You'll see that the other end does not have one, okay? And that's by design. The side without it, that's always the lock side of the door, always. This, with the plunger, is always the hinge side of the door, okay? There's a link below this video to the installation instructions, and we're going to get to that now. But first, how does this work? Well, how it works is the plunger, which is only on the hinge side, projects out. Well, depending on how you turn it, clockwise or counterclockwise. But I've got it set out about 1/4 inch. And if I were to turn it clockwise, I would draw that into the housing. If I were to back it out, it would come out even further. The amount of projection of this item is directly related to the amount of drop. And how that works is that plunger is connected to a flat spring that's inside of here. And as the plunger is compressed, meaning when the door is pushed closed, as the door is pushed closed, this will come in contact with the rabbet of the frame because this is sticking out of the end of the door. In a hollow metal door, you will have to drill a 3/8 hole for this to stick out the end, so that when you close the door, this comes in contact with the rabbet of the frame. This has nowhere to go but in, and as it is pushed in, it bellies that flat spring, and that action allows the bottom, and I will push this to show how it drops. So you'll note that it doesn't drop evenly, and that's by design. So I'll use my thumb here as the restrictor, meaning it'll hit the sill, and as it does, it then comes even down on the other side. So these work in a fashion where one end drops and the rest will knife down to seal the sill. What makes those elegant is that they will contour themselves to a sill that's not exactly level. Most sills aren't exactly level, and an automatic door bottom makes short work of that sort of problem. Maybe also as a result of the door not being exactly plumb either. So automatic door bottoms are good with this sort of condition. Okay, obviously not a wavy condition, but that's pretty unusual. What also makes these elegant and very effective is you might have an exterior door, hollow metal door. It's the back of your shop, and that's where you take deliveries, maybe customer pickup, will call, that sort of stuff. You have a condition in the summer where the door just works splendidly. Then in the winter, that concrete pad out in the back seems to rise ever so slightly. An automatic door bottom doesn't really care too much about that because there's nothing hanging off the bottom of the door to drag on the higher concrete pad that the door has to swing over. Okay, so that is another great idea about these. Because of the action of how these just drop and seal, all this is doing is making contact with the sill, nothing dragging. Okay, that will allow a very long lifespan of the seal material itself because it's not being it's not being forced to be scraped against, the floor. You might have a floor that you can't have anything going over the floor. You might have a hollow metal door that swings into a space. Well, you might have some flooring on the inside of the unit of that area that the door swings in that you have to transition the door over. Well, you've got, let's say a half-inch gap on the outside, but your flooring takes up 3/8 of that. Well, an automatic door bottom is only going to work when the door closes, allowing you to handle both of those odd flooring conditions. Okay, so a lot of ways for these to really make sense. I like them because they're set it and forget it is the saying for this sort of thing. They're known to last decades. Actually, the only negative thing about them, and for me it's certainly not a negative, but it was mentioned to me once that you can hear that clanking as the unit comes back into its housing when the door is opened. I mention it only because it's been mentioned to me 1 out of 1,000 times. Or 1 out of 10,000 times. So that would be it. You're going to hear that clanking most likely, but you'll also hear the door opening, the door closer working, things of that nature. Now, the installation instructions. There is a link below this video showing the steps by which you go about doing the installation of this. First of all, there are different types of automatic door bottoms. This is a mortise style, but specifically for a hollow metal door. There's a mortise style that there's a mortise style that you use for wood doors. There are surface mount models. There are semi-recess models. We can discuss those if you have any questions on the other types. Feel free to reach out to us. The link below this video to the manufacturer page, to Pemko's manufacturer page, will allow you to review those different types. And it's really dependent on the door itself. What door you're using will dictate the best method of automatic door bottom to select, the best type to select. Okay. Now the installation instructions, because of what this is, the first note that you're going to have to, the first hurdle to get over, if it's a fire-rated door, the inverted bottom channel will have to have been made by the factory who manufactured the door, okay, because they're the ones listed and having had the unit tested, the door tested to be compliant with the dimensional properties that this requires. If you have to do any modification, significant modification to the bottom of the door to make this work, stop. You'll violate the fire rating. If your door is not fire rated and you have the ability to make your metal door match what this requires, perfect. You know what, let's talk about that first. The bottom line is this. This is intended for an inverted bottom channel of 13/16 of an inch is what you're going to need for this. So an inverted bottom channel of 13/16 from the bottom of the door to where the top of this is going to hit that channel is correct. That means that this is going to fall below the door about 3/16 of an inch. That's very normal. It's 1 3/8 wide, so you'll have to make sure that you have that sort of space. But every 1 3/4 hollow metal door will really have, will be able to accommodate them. Fire rated or not, if you have to do no modifying to it to make this physically work, dimensionally work, the only thing you have to do is drill a 3/8 of an inch hole, 3/8 of an inch hole in the hinge side of the door, per the dimension shown so that the plunger can stick out from the bottom of the channel to the center line of that 3/8 hole. To that 3/8 hole is 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so keep that in mind. You might want to. You have to be careful when you're drilling that. You not careful, but depending on your door construction, you might have 2 layers of steel to get through. You might have 2 pieces of steel that wrap together. You might have just a single piece of steel. You might have some sort of reinforcing that's in there for a continuous hinge. Whatever, you'll want to be cautious that you might be drilling more than you expect to get that through. You want to deburr that hole out. You don't want any burrs to be there to hang this bolt up. Okay, now you're going to want to cut the automatic door bottom to the door width. Okay, now you want to make sure that the drop bar is flush with the case on the plunger side, and the gasketing insert projects at least 1/8 of an inch. Meaning the drop bar, and there's a small amount of play in this. This is the drop bar right here. And there's a small amount of play in this because there has to be. Because these door bottoms don't drop this way. They actually drop this way, is how they actually work, ever so slightly. So this is the drop bar. You want this to be flush with the inside of the door. Okay? You're going to want this to stick out 3/16 long, and you can always go in and trim that should you need to after you get it installed and inspected. Now, what I do is I would leave myself 1/8 of an inch from when the door is unhung, hanging on sawhorses. Measure the inside width of your inverted channel cavity, and I would deduct about 1/8 of an inch, maybe a 1/16, okay, something like that. When you order these, we have them in the site in several different lengths. 36 inch, 48 inch, 28 inch, 32 inch. But none of those dimensions are going to be exactly what you need, most likely. Maybe they are. But the truth of the matter is, they probably aren't. What I always do, what I suggest that you do, is when you order it, measure the inside that you need, indicate that in the comment field of the next largest piece, and that will be shipped to you cut to length. For instance, this piece has been already cut to 35 and 13/16 because that suited the client's actual installation. If you got 36 inch, you're going to be stuck cutting this down. And while you can certainly cut them down, you're limited to just 2 inch of trim if it's over 26 inch. If it happens to be 24 inch or smaller, like 18 inch, which can be special ordered, you're limited to only a 1/2 inch trim. The truth of the matter is, I don't like trimming these at all. There's moving parts inside of there. There's parts there that, if I don't have to cut it and run the risk of damaging it, I look for ways not to do that. Pemko is set up to cut these. They're going to cut these pieces out of 12-foot extrusions. They can cut it to 36, or they can cut it to 35 and whatever you need. The same way. It doesn't matter to them. So I suggest that you take time and measure the actual sizes that you need and order that. It will allow Pemko to cut them to length, get it right, not damage anything in the process, saving you installation time as well. You're going to want to get that door unhung, mark your 3/8 hole, flush this off to the side, attach it with your screws, and then that job becomes very quick. Now, you're going to want this plunger to stick out through your 3/8 hole. Have it basically flush with the edge of the door. Maybe stick out a 1/16, maybe 1/8 of an inch. At that point, once it's installed with the screws, by the way, that are provided, and there is this screw right at the tip of my finger that's clearly shorter and bigger than the others, that's for a wood frame. Should you have a wood frame, you're going to want to locate that screw countersunk in the wood frame so that when the plunger makes contact with the wood frame, it hits that screw, and because over time it will divot that hole. It will create a divot there in the frame. Have that project out of your hole, and then start to test the door, meaning pull the door closed when you've got just a small amount of projection. Visually observe how far this drops. Come out a little bit more, maybe 2 revolutions. Test it again, okay? And then continue to do that such that you have proper installation, meaning this makes contact with the sill, just touches it. You don't want to have undue pressure on that spring internally, because as soon as you start to open the door, you want that immediately to start to retract, because if it's not, and there's still force on that spring where you need to get the door much further open, you'll be dragging that drop bar assembly across the floor, and you're going to damage it most likely. We've jumped all the way down to step 5 and 6. Fasten with screws, install the door. Wooden jam, step 7, you'll insert that screw if you're looking at the installation instructions. Step 8, test it with the screw the actuating plunger in and out as required until the gasketing just touches the sealing surface when the door is closed. Important, this will only go from 1/8 of an inch to 1/2 inch drop, which is typical for a hollow metal door. If you have a typical hollow metal door with 3/4 of an inch undercut, and you've got a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch rise threshold, this is a perfect combination for that installation. And then that warning in bold about do not over adjust the plunger, we just discussed that. Okay. Further adjustments may be required for uneven surfaces. Sure, you might have such an uneven sill that you'll have to come in there and actually cheat this item up or down by stacking washers underneath it, or however you might go about doing that. If you have a very unusual installation where it will get outside of what is allowed by the capabilities of this door bottom, reach out to us. We'll help you find a better solution, maybe something that has greater capability of drop, that sort of thing. There's also a link below this video to the handing chart. Now, this unit, and you're actually required to select the handing to tell us the handing of the door. The bottom line is, this is not a handed door bottom. It's not. You can insert this on the left side, or you can turn it around and insert it on the right side. In-swing or outswing, it doesn't matter. But the fact of the matter is, there are times when the factory asks for the hand, and I tell them, this unit is not handed. They say, I need the hand of the door. So there's something about the manufacturing process where their paperwork requires that to be inserted. So you can tell us the hand of the door, or in this case, you can just, tell us a hand. It's not going to matter because this can be reversed. We do like to know the hand of the door on the order because you might be ordering this along with an overhead stop and a door closer. And if we know that the door is a left-hand reverse, meaning it's an outswing, it allows us to ask better questions about the door unit itself, helping prevent unintentional conflict between pieces of hardware. So that's really why we like to know it. If you don't need to take the time or want to take the time, or you don't know the hand of the door, just select any hand and you're off and set. I'm partial to Pemko, and I'm partial to them because they have excellent customer service and technical support. They have a comprehensive offering of weather stripping, not only automatic door bottoms, but thresholds, perimeter gasketing, door bottoms, material made of aluminum like this, stainless steel, architectural bronze, commercial, residential, comprehensive manufacturing. If you have any questions on the Pemko 420 APKL automatic door bottom or any other Pemko product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.